want all the loose lifestyle, but none of the responsibilities.
Not like should be, I don't know, the way that you're framing it. But
He's not framing anything. Brother is being straightforward. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. I'm Van, and we are all the LFR family. Thank you so much for clicking play. Hopefully, you click that like button as well. Share this bad boy. Subscribe to the channel if you like, all right? And watch it all the way through. That would be absolutely amazing. We got our guy, Charlie Kirk, and he's on a podcast called Whatever Podcast, and he's there with a lot of women. It's Charlie Kirk with a lot of young women in the room. Just him with all these young ladies, or they about to give him hell. So we already know it's about to be a cat fight and a Charlie Kirk fight, but I want to see what's going on. So let's check this out. Y'all let me know whatever y'all want me to know. Let's get it.
Let me ask you this. If you knew for certain the baby, would you agree it's a baby? Is that a good term to use if it's in a womb? Is that a baby?
I think most people would say fetus.
Probably fetus, yeah.
Okay, so what does fetus mean in Latin?
I think a fetus is a growing child. It's a
Yeah,
developing
you're right,
child.
Molly. You know it means a little human.
Yeah.
It's just using fetus is nothing more than a cope for what you know it is. It's a baby, right? So it's just
Obviously not if we're here debating it. I don't think it's as settled
then
as
you don't have to use the word fetus. It just makes people feel better. It's obviously a baby.
No, I mean, obviously you wouldn't take like, you know, a fetus that just has like a heart and like their brain isn't fully formed and be like, that's the same as like a 1 month old.
Yeah.
Like we obviously see differences between development from then and there.
So, but then how about 30 weeks?
That's where it becomes a lot more contentious.
Mm-hmm.
But the point being is that we don't look at a fetus from its beginning stages and be like, yeah, that's the same thing as my like 3-month-old cousin.
Hold on. That's a 9-month-old is not the same thing as a 1-month-old.
Okay.
Right? So you can go through the progression of development continues. The question is, when does it start?
Yeah, that's $1 million question. I agree with that.
So
Do you think conception?
Of course. That's the only answer.
Most women, I don't believe, even know that they're pregnant before 6 weeks.
But
so like around like the heartbeats and stuff like that.
The knowledge of your pregnancy doesn't mean that you're not pregnant.
No. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying like practicality wise, there are many instances of women who have miscarriages without even ever knowing, because it might just present as like a very heavy cycle that month.
That's fine, but it doesn't make it any less a life, right? Sure, go ahead, Molly.
No, but do you mourn that miscarriage in the same way you mourn like
100%,
an abortion, like a conscious
Not the same
choice?
way. No, it's not the same way. No, but it's still a tragedy. A miscarriage is a tragedy.
That's because you don't mourn it because you don't mourn it the same because you don't have the same emotional attachment. Like that's with any relationship. Just think about it. Any relationship that you have with somebody, the longer that you are with that person or in their lives, and then it just breaks apart, you're going to have more feelings for them. That's just called common damn sense. All right. We're not talking about natural progression. We're not talking about when you knew you were pregnant. We're just talking about when a baby was made. Okay. All right, don't make it more complicated than it has to be. We have been teaching people how to grow online. It's been absolutely amazing. We have 3 people who have been able to reach monetization in less than 30 days. Growing YouTube channels, some from 0 people. We have one guy who had 2 subscribers before he started working with me. He started helping him. His views went up 4.8 million%. We're super excited. If anybody ever want to grow on YouTube, you reach out to me with the word coach.
But an abortion,
even if she doesn't know about it?
But an abortion is an act of human will. A miscarriage most times is not. Now, sometimes it can be a miscarriage because you drank alcohol and you didn't know you were pregnant, or you might have taken a drug that have side effects. But yes, a miscarriage is a tragedy, yes.
I have a question. So do you care about the children once they're born?
I mean, I care a lot about them, yeah.
So if say a woman got R-worded or something, or even if she just got pregnant and
Grid 1 Motorsports donated $200.
Right?
Life is not subjective, and we know this because you were speaking of killing. Why is it so easy for you ladies to kill kids? If your comfort and lifestyle more important than a life you created.
Anyway.
Wow, when they get a super chat, that bad boy starts reading immediately, automatically. Like AI just starts to, $200. He just takes over the show. Is that how it's, come on, bro. Come on, man. Now I see what this lady's trying to do, but let's go. Hopefully they have an objective conversation. I don't care who wins, loses, draws, nothing. I just hope that everybody walk away from this conversation with a better understanding of one another. And hopefully the people who were less learned, they learned something from the person that was more learned.
Anyway, my question was, what was I saying? Oh, if
you were saying
so
if somebody was
someone got,
someone
like,
forced
R-worded
sex
or,
upon themselves. It's the word you're.
Or even like not even just that, but say like if the mother like was homeless or something, say like she didn't have a good life. Do you still think that child deserves to be brought into the world just to suffer?
Well, so it's not a guarantee of suffering, number one. One sec. The answer is yes, the life should be brought into the world. There are twice as many people on the adoption waiting list.
There's so many people.
Well, let me ask you guys, and I'm just curious, how many abortions do you think there are a year in America?
I have no
Tens
idea.
of thousands, I assume.
Any other guesses?
I have no clue.
What if I told you there was over 1 million abortions every year?
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
But you went from tens of thousands to 1 million.
And didn't even flinch, like tens of thousands, like 10,000, 20,000. Oh, 10 million? Same thing. Am I right? Am I right, ladies? You're not right.
I mean, there's billions of people on the on the board.
Yeah, there's 340 million in America. That's right. No, but do you think
as far as like reported ones, because even just reported data is going to be incomplete.
That
because
doesn't count mifepristone, which is the chemical abortion that people can have at home. It doesn't count Plan B, right? So,
and even if like abortion were illegal, for example, we stopped gathering data on like who procures abortions, there would be so many. There's so many now, even with states where it's still legal.
Texas, it's gone down dramatically. So hundreds of thousands.
No, they're still happening. It's just
no, they're happening,
not being accounted
about
for.
About 90% abortion.
Women are just doing it to themselves.
Right. It's a 90% abortion reduction rate in Texas. I don't want to dwell on that too much, though. So there's 1 million abortions every single year. And there's twice as many people on the there's 2 million people actively on the adoption waiting list. So there's really no such thing currently, there could be, but currently, of an unwanted child. So there's 2 million people wanting to adopt, and there's 1 million people that have abortions every single year. So there's twice as many people that want to get a child. Now, there's a longer conversation about making it less bureaucratic without allowing bad people to adopt kids for bad reasons. I'm perfectly open for that conversation. But to answer your question, I don't love the premise. It's a really good question because a lot of people have it. I don't necessarily believe being born in poverty is a death sentence or is a reason to terminate. No, but abortion is a death sentence. So I don't think poverty should give you a death sentence.
Would you say abortion is murder?
Oh, of course, 100%.
Do you think that people who procure abortions, women specifically, a woman who procures an abortion should go to jail for getting one?
Absolutely, yeah. They're the moral equivalent of Auschwitz.
Really?
Yes.
Millions of women are basically the same as like Nazi death camp guards.
The women are victims. They're lied to. 90% of women do not see an ultrasound before they have an abortion. They have no idea what's happening to them. They're the victims here. It is the abortionists that are doing this. But let me ask you, and I mean this, have you guys ever seen an abortion on a video?
I'm sorry. If women are the victims here, why should they be jailed?
Well, I don't believe they should be jailed. I think
the abortionists.
How is it that you could believe that abortion is murder, but a murderer shouldn't go to jail?
I didn't say that. The doctors, the abortionists, the people that call themselves doctors, the people that put women under general anesthesia and go into.
But women they ask for it.
They are doctors. They're medical.
Are you going to just discount the accountability of the women in that decision?
My current perspective is because the women are not given what is called informed consent, that the women should not be penalized. They should not be. They shouldn't be penalized. In fact, they should be given grace from a system that has lied to them and has misled them. They are not given the full picture of exactly what's happening to them. Informed consent has not happened, so these women are the victims. The abortionists, one second, the abortionists are the ones that know exactly what's happening. And if you haven't seen a video of an abortion, I'm not going to say anything too graphic. It is one of the hardest things to watch. The baby fights, the baby struggles, the baby dodges, the baby avoids. They break the neck of the baby. They euthanize it through the spring. It's not a joke.
Sorry.
And then they tear it limb from limb through there. If you're trying to tell me that's,
that's like a
if you're talking about they're called dilation and extraction abortions.
No.
Yes,
Hold on a second.
But if you're talking
a baby has a backbone at 6 weeks and a spine. It has a complete figure. It's small. It's like probably as small
the size of like a grape. Yeah.
Yes, but by 8 weeks or 12 weeks, and you're talking about.
But the vast majority of abortions are performed in the first trimester.
Yeah, that's right.
So when the type of abortion that you describe is literally like minority of the time, and those are wanted pregnancies because usually those women want those pregnancies. They weren't able to carry them to term. They don't know
they're pregnant till they're 6 weeks, to your point.
They weren't able to carry those children to term because of health risks to their own life or to the infants.
Right. That does happen too. We can't just act as if that doesn't happen. That does happen. It's a ton of women out there who want to be pregnant, and they're with someone that they love, and they've been trying to get pregnant for a long time, and they thought that everything was safe, and they thought they were healthy enough to go to term, and all of those things, and then, you know what I mean, the unfortunate thing happens. So those actually happen too. Now, if he's able to discuss the most dramatic parts, I think it's fair for them to introduce a side that's also, well, they should be able to introduce whatever side that they want to introduce, if he can introduce their side, his side. So just keeping it fair. Let's go.
Right. So without getting into that, no infant should be terminated because of health risk to the infant. Okay, that's insane. It's like you're going to kill the baby because the baby has health risks.
Not just health risks. These are
Oh, let me ask you.
These are medical.
Hold on, Down syndrome.
Yeah, like
should we
stillbirths
abort
or
Down syndrome kids?
No.
Iceland has. They said if you have Down syndrome, you're done. So that's not a new phenomenon. They have gotten rid of Down syndrome. If you have a DNA test of Down syndrome, they abort the kid. I think that's cruel and unusual.
That is.
Yeah.
Okay, we agree. Good.
I think there are frivolous reasons to procure abortions, but I don't believe that just because there are frivolous reasons to get them, that means it should be outlawed.
But should murder be outlawed?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like you were saying, even though you believe that those women have a hand in committing the murder and infanticide basically of their own children, they shouldn't go to jail.
They have not been given informed consent.
Do you have that opinion with people who are addicted to drugs? Do you think only drug dealers should go to jail, but not people who actually try to buy drugs and consume them?
It depends what drug it is. It depends the category, the class, the
Is there a single drug where you would say that somebody who is buying and consuming drugs that they are addicted to should not be going to jail, but only their drug dealer should be going to jail?
I actually think that certain drugs, I don't think drug users should be hauled off to jail. I don't. I do realize what we're trying to do. We're trying to penalize them so that they can not do something foolish while on the drug, which the likelihood of that happening is increased the more that they do drugs. They more likely are going to rob somebody else for some more drugs, or not take care of their families or do something to their families when they're home. I mean, it's because they're not thinking straight. But I don't really think that we should penalize drug users and drug abusers at the same level, nearly at the same level as somebody who sold the drugs. So when Joe Biden came out with that whole thing of charging somebody 5 years for a rock of cocaine, a rock of crack cocaine, saying if you're even found with this, if you're caught with rock cocaine on your person and you're smoking it, you're going to jail. When we all know what happened with his son. But of course, that was a long time ago. That was a different generation. It was a lot happening during that time. I get all of that, okay? I'm just saying, if we're going to introduce something to the topic, then we should introduce everything.
I mean, I think fentanyl and heroin potentially, but it's a completely separate issue because a lot of people know the informed consent of heroin and fentanyl. It's not. We have PSAs, we have billboards. Stop using fentanyl. Stop doing fentanyl. How many times have you heard that? Have you ever?
But they have a chemical dependency now that prevents them from being able to make that choice.
How often have we ever had an honest conversation with women in this country saying that having an abortion increases the chances for depression, anxiety, medication dependence?
So does having a kid.
Well, hold on.
Having children carries all of those same risks.
You think having children? You think having children?
No, don't mischaracterize me.
No, that's not true.
I'm not going to say that having a child necessarily gives you depression or any of that.
That's what she said.
It can come with it. Like postpartum depression, for example, is extremely common among young
It's temporary and short-lived, and obviously.
Not always.
For some people last years.
So is the depression
that's temporary and short-lived. That's not permanent.
You think but when years of living with postpartum depression can simply constitute a temporary medical issue?
Let's theoretically even grant. So you're saying because of potential postpartum depression or financial burdens, the moral answer is allow women to go in.
No, that was never my
clinics.
argument. This had nothing to do with morality. This was a completely separate question. I'm only saying that I feel like you're trivializing and downplaying how serious conditions like postpartum depression can be when you want to write it off as like a temporary medical issue.
Real.
When it can be.
He is though. He's downplaying it. And that's only because he's arguing from one point of view. He shouldn't have to go there. As a matter of fact, he shouldn't even touch it. He shouldn't compare anything to that. When they introduce something else to the topic, to try to deter you from your original point. Listen, let them do that. Let them introduce whatever they're introducing and ask them questions about whatever they're introducing and have them school you on that. Have them teach you on that. Just because you are there as the brains in the room, allegedly, does not mean that you have to teach them everything, because they are women and they know what women go through more than we know what women go through. We can study them through a glass. We can study them through other situations that we know of, but they are women, and we have to give them that courtesy. At least we got to give them that courtesy.
Years-long battle.
Look, having children is a serious choice. So what percentage of abortions, according to the Guttmacher Institute, are not incest and not life of the mother? What percentage would you say?
Probably the vast majority.
97%.
Yeah.
So is abortion now birth control, yes or no?
No, it's not. And ladies, if you say it is, that's cap. You're not listening. You're not trying to be objective. You're just there to back up whoever your leader is. And I'm guessing it's the lady with the glasses on. Nice looking glasses. Nice looking lady, by the way, too. All right.
No, I don't think so.
I think
But-
that's situational to each and every
Molly,
person.
do you think that birth control, it could be called birth control in certain
Because
situations?
you're talking about over 1 million abortions, but there's tens of millions of women that are on birth control, that have IUDs, that take birth control pills. So obviously, that's not the only reason why.
But it's a
Or
form
that's-
of birth control. Is
It's
it
a
not?
form of birth
Because
control,
they're
sure,
not,
but
they're,
you acknowledge that it's not the
Form of birth
predominant
control.
form of birth control.
Well, no, I didn't say that. Hold on. I said it's birth control.
Yeah, but we're not disagreeing with the category.
Hold on.
I'm talking
So
about the
therefore,
prevalency of
if
it.
it's birth control, then why would we allow it to continue if it's not? If you put the incest life of the mother, which we can debate.
I didn't.
But no, I'm going to put that aside for a second. Then why should we allow a horrific procedure to continue that has such heavy and dire consequences and results in a child not being able to live outside of the womb?
Because that's
You're
the mother's
loading it
choice.
so much by
Horrific.
saying a
Okay.
horrific
Subjective.
procedure.
Hold on,
Most
so-
women who procure abortions actually report being happy long term because they made the choice, because there's many different reasons why women get abortions. Some women aren't in a financial position to have a child at that time and actually decide to have children later.
How'd they get pregnant?
What do you mean? They had sex unprotected.
Yeah, there you go. So you see how fast she tries to pass that off. Like, they're not in a position to have a baby, so they're actually happy. Whew, I ain't got to deal with that little bastard for 18 years. I just flushed him right out. All I had to pay was $200. In and out. In and out. And I ain't got to date him no more, that bastard. Nah, it don't work that way. If you're able to lay down and spread open them legs and make a baby, then you should be responsible for that baby for the next 18 years. And I might be speaking from a point of trauma, because I was 5 years, no, I was between the age of 3 and 5. I don't remember exactly. That was my trauma period, where some things are blurry and I don't remember everything point for point. I only remember what people told me. But I was 3 to 5 years old where I was left behind, and I had to be adopted, and so did my brothers have to be adopted. And because my mom and my dad at the time was going through some extremely difficult moments with one another, one being on drugs, one being abused, and they had to do what was best for them at the time, or I don't know what was going on with them mentally, but I do know that I ended up being left behind, okay? So they had a responsibility. They made love and they did whatever they did, and they made children. Were all of those situations and instances like not forced? I don't know. I only know what I hear, all right? And sometimes, man, we got to discuss these things. Like, I might be coming from a point of trauma, but I believe that once you make up in your mind to have some sex, you should take it seriously enough to understand that a baby can come from this. And if I don't want to have a baby with you, maybe I should not lay with you. Yeah, right. That's not reality. That's not real life. That's not real life. Ain't nobody thinking like that. I get it. But maybe you should. That's all I'm saying. Maybe you should.
So
or
wait,
an accident.
So they want the orgasm without the responsibility.
Do you think the majority of women are having orgasms in sex? Are you serious? Have you seen the studies on orgasm gaps between men and women?
I'll be honest. So they want all the pleasure. They want all. But It's you want all the loose lifestyle, but none of the responsibilities.
Now you're framing it like the punishment for having it should orgasm should be punished. No, the way that you're framing it, which is
it's not a punishment.
He's not framing anything. The brother is being straightforward. Can you just you are taking everything from a defensive point of view. You're ready to combat whatever he says. So it looked like he's trying to set you up and he's playing chess. Ain't nobody playing chess. He's asking you a straight up question. You want the loose lifestyle without the responsibilities, right? Where's the frame? That seems pretty direct to me.
You want the loosey-goosey parts of sex, like the orgasm, but you don't want the responsibility of a child. It's like, yeah, some people want to be able to have sex.
Okay, no, you articulate it perfectly. I'm going to be able to have sex how I want, and if I have to go put a dagger through, or have someone put a dagger through a child for me, then so be it.
Boom.
Sure, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, sure, I guess. Really? I get to do whatever I want to do, and if I end up getting pregnant, I can have somebody, I can put a hit out on that kid before they come, and then commence. And then you guys can sit there. Here's the one thing too. Do y'all even care about your feather, your other women that you claim to be in this fight with? Like the women who can't have children. Like y'all mentioned it, the women who can't have children. What about them? What about them? Y'all don't think about them when y'all are being all loose and just doing whatever you want to do and all willy-nilly and getting as many abortions as you want to get. You're like, I can produce another one. It is what it is. It's heavy in our genes. I'm going to get pregnant. I get pregnant just by looking at a ding-ling. That's how they're thinking. But then when it comes to, for the sake of argument, let's bring up the poor ladies who can't have no children that want to have children. What about them? Y'all don't care about them, so stop bringing them up.
No, that you're being morally clear. And basically it's my body. I can do whatever I want with it. Even though, let me ask you a question.
Even though, like I said, most women don't regret their abortions at all. Like the vast majority of women report happiness. And
who gives a damn if you regret it or not? Who gives a damn? Where in the Bible does it say whether or not we should regret the sins that we commit? I don't regret adultery, so I'm going to continue to do it. I don't regret murder, so I'm going to continue to do it. I don't regret, I'm going to continue to do it. Because you don't regret it? They have no principles, man. Y'all are willy-nilly. That's why it's 15 women, 15 more than likely single women, sitting on a podcast, ready to talk about stuff and showing off their goodies, making sure you look as cute as possible, as pristine as I can possibly look, so that I can catch the eye of someone. Come on, man.
Being okay with their decision. I'm sure you think that they're lying or they're indoctrinated or wrong or delusional.
But if it's not your DNA, how is it your choice? If it's not your DNA, why is it your choice?
It is.
No, it's the baby has its own
carry the
DNA.
child through
Your
gestation.
partner's DNA, and then it forms into
It has its own unique DNA that's not yours.
It's part of your DNA. It's 50-50.
It's half. Oh, so should the man then be able to have veto power over abortion?
Well, the point is the man isn't the one incubating the child.
So I thought if it's about DNA.
I never made a DNA argument. You did. The argument that I was going to make was, or I was going to ask you the question, do you think another person has a right to your life and your body?
Does another person have a right to? Well, technically, because abortion was legal when I was in utero, someone did have a right to my life and body.
Oh, hey.
And my mom chose life. Praise God. So did all your moms.
Yeah.
My mom
the argument.
Are you glad that
my mom chose life? Praise God. So did all of your moms. My mom didn't choose life. They just fell when they tried to kill me.
She didn't have an abortion?
No.
So you would rather be dead?
I don't know. I mean, life can be difficult.
If she didn't exist, you would not be able to even know what you never materialized.
A couple people wanted to come in really quick. It looked like you wanted to come in. I'd like to give you an opportunity to speak. Then I think you had more, Pixie, than Molly. Go ahead.
It was just backtrack just on what he was saying on not wanting to have the responsibility. I think that's really, I don't really think that makes sense, because I don't think sex is just for reproduction. It's just like asking you, like every time, I'm not trying to bring in your wife, but every time you have sex with your wife, it's purely for reproduction. I feel like that is very inaccurate. So I mean, it's hard to expect everyone who isn't in a marriage to just not have sex just because they don't want to get pregnant or just because they don't want to have that responsibility.
Wait, did you even make the argument that sex is purely
No, I didn't.
I don't think you did.
But Angel's making a good point, and I want to give her credit for this, which she's saying, and it could be misunderstood that I was saying sex is strictly for reproduction. What I was saying is that everything in life has consequences and choices, right?
Correct,
and
yes.
at times, the mainstream predominant narrative is that sex comes with almost no downsides, and we're going to give you either the technology, the procedure, or whatever to try to limit those downsides. But the difference is that when my wife and I have sex, if she results to be pregnant, which she did, is that we live with that consequence, which happens to be a positive consequence, right? A huge blessing. Now, I understand what I'm saying is very, very radical and very unpopular, but the ideal should be far less people having premarital sex and trying to have sex within marital guidelines, or at the very least monogamous guidelines, okay? So that if there was to be a pregnancy, that baby could be loved and cared for and brought into this world. I understand.
And they need to also realize that, I mean, how's being all loose with sex been working with you guys? How's it been working for you? Huh? How's it been working for y'all? Y'all been in love with some people? You still with that person that you've been giving up the draws to? No? Okay. After that person, how many more people have you given the draws to that you was hoping to be in a relationship with? 1, 2, 3, 12? Okay, 12 more people? Okay, all right. Which one would you have had a family with if you could? All of them? But neither one of them wanted to be with you? Oh, my bad. He could go down the line. Not saying that all of them women want to be in relationships, because women love to do whatever the hell they want to do, just like men love to do whatever. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't be no loose sex out here if both parties weren't, ready and able to do any damn thing. But y'all clearly aren't mature enough to bring another life into this world. So stop doing the acts so loosely. And if you're going to do it, protect yourself. Protect yourself. Also, why y'all going to sit there and argue with a man who wants to protect you? He's telling you to value yourself enough to make sure that the guy that you give the cookies to, you're going to marry. And if you were to get pregnant by him, it'll be a blessing and not something that, what are we doing? Are you going to keep it? No, I hope you don't keep it. What if my girlfriend find out? What if my wife find out? What if your man find out? You're not ready to have no babies? You're still modeling. You're still trying to make your career. You're trying to get things going. Come on, man. Don't argue with somebody who wants you to do better. It seemed like he loved you. It seemed like he loved the ladies there more than they loved themselves.
I understand it's a hard ideal to even grasp and comprehend in a world where everything is very sex positive and sex abundant. But it's an ideal that I defend nonetheless. I
mean, I don't think there's anything that's in contradiction with being sex positive, but also wanting to help prevent unwanted pregnancies. I would just say to those women and those people having sex that you should be using birth control and family planning methods to make sure that you don't have any unexpected pregnancies that you don't want to have. To skip the abortion part altogether. I don't think anybody loves their abortion. I only said that people just don't regret them.
Oh, nobody loves their abortions, huh? Huh. You just know, say, I know people who are happy after getting abortions. But now you're going to say, I don't know, you heard that reasoning and she felt bad and she had to back up a little bit, backtrack. But no, you didn't. You didn't. I'm not saying people love their abortions. Well, you kind of did say people love their abortions. I'm just saying that they don't regret them. That's it. They just don't feel bad about it. Like, they killed somebody and they don't feel bad about it. Like, they're over it. They had a couple of drinks and they smoked a couple of J's and they had some more amazing sex that they knew they wouldn't have been able to have if they had that baby. They went on a few trips and they know that if they had that baby, they wouldn't have been able to go on no trips because they would have had to stay home and nurse a kid and do all of the boring stuff, and they're not done with living their young, sexy lives because their bodies are where they always wanted them to be, and they want to give them to as many people as possible and keep covering up tattoos of your last lover. All right, so this is from the Whatever podcast. I want y'all to go check it out yourselves. Y'all let me know whatever y'all want me to know in the comments below. If you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I'm Van, and now we are all the LFR family, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video, hopefully inside of the Patreon and everything else that's LFR family. Okay? See y'all in the next one. Love y'all.